Good morning. Summer has finally arrived. It took Ragbri, I guess, to get this kind of summer weather. But Lieutenant Governor Reynolds is at the National Lieutenant Governor's meeting in Alaska, so she was unable to join us today. This morning, we'd like to update you on the progress being made with Iowa's innovative Home Base Iowa initiative. As you will remember, last November, I announced the new program, including an incentive package for veterans that would help us recruit veterans to work in Iowa after they complete their military service. I made the program the centerpiece of our legislative agenda and was pleased that we were able to get comprehensive Home Base Iowa Act approved with broad bipartisan support. And essentially, we were able to get the entire package approved. I was excited to be able to sign this landmark piece of legislation, Home Base Iowa, on Memorial Day at Camp Dodge in the Gold Star Museum in my Army uniform. The incentives included in the Home Base Act include the exemption of military pension from the Iowa income tax, a veterans homeowner assistance program, which we provided additional funding for, permissive veterans preference in employment in the private sector, like we have had for many years in state and local government, streamlining of occupational licensure for former military members, in-state tuition for military veterans, their spouses, and dependents, and we eliminated the special license plates fees for people that get veterans various military license plates on their vehicles. I'm pleased to see that we are making strides in moving this program forward very expeditiously. So far, Greene County and Howard County have been recognized as Home Base Iowa communities, leading our state in welcoming veterans, and we've had great response in both of those communities to the announcement. To become a Home Base Iowa community, an area needs to offer additional incentives beyond the state package and to ensure that at least 10% of the businesses have made a commitment to hire veterans. Home Base Iowa is now gaining tremendous statewide support and interest. As a result of focused outreach, there are now 29 additional communities working to become Home Base Iowa communities. Another very important part of Home Base Iowa is our Home Base Iowa businesses. There are now well over 60 businesses that have committed to hire veterans through Home Base Iowa. That includes the entire Iowa Business Council, which represents Iowa's largest employers, and they have committed to a goal of at least 2,500 veterans. Iowa's smaller companies are also on board. Scranton Manufacturing is located in Greene County. They've already hired a veteran through Home Base Iowa program, and they've interviewed several additional veterans. Lieutenant Governor Reynolds had the opportunity to visit this great Iowa company and shared with me the work that they're doing and the success they're having in Greene County. Greene County has had veterans' families move to the area and have been able to take advantage of the incentives offered by that Home Base Iowa county. Leaders like Scranton Manufacturing in Greene County understand that these veterans have already proven they share the values we hold dear as Iowans: hard work, leadership, discipline, and problem solving in some of the most difficult conditions. Iowa is gaining a national recognition for our efforts. Iowa became the first state to participate in Hilton Honors Military Initiative. This is a program set up by Hilton worldwide and connects military members and their families across the nation with free lodging at Hilton hotels as they pursue their job hunt or need a place to stay when they're moving from the military to their new career. Iowa Economic Development Authority Director Debbie Durham and I recently highlighted Iowa's Home Based Iowa program at the National Governors Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. And Kathy Anderson was with Debbie for that. We shared the passion that local communities have in offering generous incentives to help veterans transition to civilian life. Home Base Iowa has also started an outreach to military bases around the country, meeting with transitioning service members and staff at these bases. The staff at the bases have been very impressed with this program and even said they wanted to personally check out these job opportunities in Iowa. And later this week, Iowa is hosting a large veterans and employers event in Davenport on Thursday, July 24th. I look forward to personally attending that event. Through Home Base Iowa and its mission to help transitioning service members find jobs in Iowa, we have an ability to partner with national organizations and continue to move forward. Both the VFW and the American Legion have written great articles about this. We've gotten great coverage and support from the U.S. Chamber and also from the Obama administration. We want to become the envy of the nation in terms of recruiting veterans to our state and matching them with quality careers. A veteran who has served our country shouldn't have to worry about obtaining a great career upon leaving the service. Iowa is a business-friendly state. We're a veterans-friendly state. We're excited about the progress that we're seeing in Iowa, and I believe that we are truly off to a great start. To close, I'd like to show a short video that was shown at the Yankee Doodle Pops concert and will be used as part of our overall marketing effort. So.
Iowa, where we welcome veterans, where we hire veterans. Through your military, you.
Uh-oh.
Iowa, where we welcome veterans, where we hire veterans. Through your military service, you have proven you share the values Iowans hold dear. Hard work, leadership, teamwork. Iowa companies want you. We invite you to.
Well, I don't think it's going to work, huh? You got a website that's available, Kathy? Okay. Well, we're using it as a marketing tool on military bases around the country, and then I think it's also available online. Is that right, Kathy?
How many businesses are rated at July 24th? Right now we have 35 employees. Do you know how many jobs have you gained with Public Power? How many
Kathy, do you have? I think I do. Just a second. 86 veterans have reached out to the state on this, and several have been hired, but I know 23 have been hired. 23 have been hired so far. Remember, this just started. It was signed on Memorial Day, so we're only, a month and a half into it. But it's been extremely well received, and of course, Kathy is coordinating this effort. We had to do a little catch up because a lot of states had already eliminated tax on military retirement. But we went way beyond that when we exempted military members, their spouses, and dependents from tuition. We provided the other incentives. Of course, we have had this veterans tax incentive for people that purchase homes, and frankly, demand for that has grown, and we provided additional funding to make sure that that $5,000 closing or down payment is available. We've also are working with all of our professional licensing boards to streamline the procedures and make sure that veterans get credit for the training they receive in the military to get their professional licensing in Iowa. And so there's a lot of parts to this, but from what I can see, it's going forward very well. Plus, then you have the home-based Iowa communities and then the home-based Iowa businesses. And we have, as you know, former Congressman Boswell and Bob Myers, who are both retired colonels, that are promoting this and helping raise money to pay for the marketing. Well, good jobs is the most important thing. What we want to do is offer great career opportunities and also a relatively low cost, safe place to live and work and to raise a family. So we have historically rated very well in those kind of factors. And so I think those are important factors that people look at. Well, we have the two. We have, I mentioned Greene County and Howard County. We have 29 also working on it. So we expect to be able to announce many more of them in the weeks and months ahead.
Your point says job creation figures you provided patterns don't account for the jobs that were lost.
Well, when I ran for governor 4 years ago, I set a goal to create jobs. I've been around long enough to know there's always jobs that are going to go away. But the good news is we have been extremely successful. Over 130,000 new jobs have been created. The unemployment figures came out again last Friday. We had another 5,000, over 5,000 gain in employment in our state. Iowa is the 7th lowest in the nation in unemployment. In Lee County, which had the highest unemployment in the state when I ran for governor at 10.9%, it's down now to about 6.2%. So I think, the people that are criticizing our job numbers are the same people that are against providing tax incentive for great jobs in Lee County. And I believe that what we're doing makes sense. It's creating good jobs, it's growing the economy, and it's also reducing the cost of nitrogen fertilizer for farmers. And nitrogen is one of the biggest costs in raising corn.
Could you explain to us, Dave Swenson at Iowa State says that.
Well, Dave Swenson doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, well, how is it lowering the cost of fertilizer?
Okay, the Farm Bureau, Dave Swenson is a sociologist, but the Farm Bureau are farmers that have knowledge and experience and know what the costs of raising corn are. And I can tell you, the Iowa Farm Bureau has estimated the savings to be $700 million annually. Why? Because instead of importing it from overseas with all the transportation costs involved in that, now because of fracking, we have a lower cost natural gas available in this country. And we can produce it here in Iowa, close to where the farmers are, and consequently, the savings to Iowa farmers in nitrogen fertilizer cost is estimated by Farm Bureau at $700 million a year.
Let Chet Culver get away with what kind of arithmetic you're talking about, not subtracting.
Well, I can tell you what happened under Chet Culver.
I'm asking if you would have let him get away with that kind of arithmetic.
Well, listen, he tried to get away with a lot of things, including his big debt scheme, iJobs, and we're paying back $55 million a year to pay for his iJobs debt scheme. But what we'd said, and was honest and accurate at the time, our goal was to create 200,000 new jobs. And we are on track to do that. And if you look at the unemployment rate in Iowa, you can see that we're 7th lowest in the country. So, yeah, we don't have the oil that they have in North Dakota, but we are working diligently every day. And the quality of the jobs we're creating are really good jobs. These fertilizer plant jobs, what Cargill and CJ have just put in at Fort Dodge, Valent Biosciences, the other, Facebook and Google and Microsoft, and all these other really quality jobs have been brought to the state of Iowa. We've done it with a very focused, a very targeted agenda that has reduced the tax and regulatory burden and made Iowa more competitive. Now, we have not caught up with Governor Perry, but we are continuing to look at things that we can do to make this state more competitive, as are many other governors.
Governor, as you know, you took a lot of heat last year on the immigrant children across the border. You came here, I guess, getting a response to that. There's so much criticism, you know, Park and Talk, you know,
All these partisan, yeah, I know, I understand, but the whole problem was created by the Obama administration's failure to meet its responsibility to secure the border. That's the most important thing, is to secure the border. They have failed to do that. Governor Perry was just here over the weekend and said, and he's the governor of Texas where this problem is the greatest, and he said, because the federal government has failed to do, and the president refused to go with him down to the border to look at the situation and see firsthand what's going on, he may have to take, and I guess is going to take, action to activate his National Guard to secure the border to protect the citizens of his state. So, and listen, I'm very empathetic for these teenagers and kids, but they've come here illegally. And it would be wrong for us to send a signal, if you come here illegally, we're going to just disperse you throughout the country and you don't have to go home. That is, the country can't afford that. And I'm not the only governor that's taken that stand. The governor of Colorado, the governor of Maryland, very strong Democrats, have, as well as a lot of other Republican governors, our neighboring governor from Nebraska, Governor Heineman. And obviously the border state governors like Governor Perry have the biggest direct problem that they have to deal with. But the problem has been caused by the federal government and the administration's unwillingness or inability to secure the border and protect American citizens against the influx of illegals.
Would you be willing to contribute Iowa National Guard troops to help Governor Perry do this?
I have not been asked to do that, and I feel confident that Governor Perry is doing what he thinks is in the best interest of the people of his state.
How do you compare the situation with these undocumented children with, you know, some of the critics will talk about, if you look at what Governor Ray did back in the 70s here, how are those two things different in your mind?
Well, these kids are coming here illegally. What Governor Ray did was legal, and they came as intact families, and they worked to resettle them permanently here. But they came from countries where they were being killed and where the government, they came here legally. The difference is between coming here legally and illegally. We've always been a state that welcomes people that are legal immigrants. And when I was governor and the Berlin Wall came down and we had a lot of people came here from Eastern Europe, we welcomed them. And
Children say they're fleeing dangerous situations toward getting
well, I think their own countries need to deal with their problems, and we can't accept every child in the world that has problems. And I can tell you, at Des Moines University, we sent medical students down to Central America. We sent them to Africa and other places to provide medical service to needy people. And we're very empathetic and wanting to help, but it would not be wise for us to say, if you can come here, if you somehow get here illegally, then you can stay, and that would be just the wrong signal and would make a bad situation much worse. I am one that believes very much in welcoming people, and I think if people look at my record of having accepted people from all parts of the world, that's true. But I also believe in the rule of law. And as the governor of the state of Iowa, like other governors, like Governor Perry, like other governors from around the country, I feel, and I took an oath to uphold the law, and that's why, even though we're very compassionate people, we also believe things need to be done legally. And the difference between what was done under Governor Ray's administration, that was all legal, and families were accepted and resettled. This is a situation where people have come here illegally, and if we make it such that we don't have borders anymore, you can come here, anybody can come here illegally, and whatever, we can't sustain our country. It's just something that is not possible for us to do.
So you don't view these children as refugees?
No, they came here illegally. Many cases, coyotes and others were profiting off of bringing them here illegally and told them lies, and we should not confirm their lies. They told them lies that they could get here, they could stay. That's not true. The federal government needs to secure the border, and they need to expedite the process to send them back as quickly as possible.
Supreme Court on Friday issued a ruling that affects the juvenile offenders who are being held under mandatory non-sentencing. Is it time to do a comprehensive sentencing reform in Iowa?
Well, I was in the legislature when we, in the 1970s, addressed the entire criminal code and spent a couple of months on that issue and was very actively involved in the debate on that issue. This Supreme Court decision, as I understand it, goes further than any other state. And I think it does open some questions that we'll have to address with regard to not the entire criminal code, but the portion affecting juveniles. And so we're going to carefully review. As I understand, this was a 4-3 decision, and it went beyond what other states have done. And so I think we're going to work with the legislature and review and look at what is the appropriate response to make sure that the public in Iowa is protected. When we have a juvenile that commits a murder or a violent, dangerous crime, if they're treated as a juvenile, when they turn 18, they can be released. And we don't want dangerous, violent people being prematurely released and endangering our citizens. We don't want to become Chicago.
The fact that this hasn't been revisited since the 1970s, things have changed. There's becoming sort of a patchwork of laws that have been passed in the meantime that have different effects. You don't see a need to sort of step back, take an umbrella look at the whole system, how it's working.
Like I said, I was involved when we did the comprehensive look at the criminal code in the 70s. In that case, we debated everything from the death penalty to what the definition of insanity is, to nude dancing in taverns. I mean, every controversial issue you can ever imagine. And all of those issues were addressed. And I think the general result, and by the way, I was in the minority, it was 62 Democrats and 38 Republicans in the House, and yet I had several of my amendments adopted, including the McNaughton rule on insanity, which is the more conservative rule on insanity. I think has served the state of Iowa well and protected the well-being of our citizens. Now, when there's a need to review aspects of the criminal code, such as this court decision has really put in the whole juvenile sentencing issue, I think that we need to address that. But there's a difference between addressing juvenile sentencing and taking on the whole criminal code, which could take basically, as it did back in the 70s, the entire session. By the way, that's when we repealed the motorcycle helmet law too. That was done in that conference committee. Yes, sir.
Governor, there continues to be questions raised about emergency medicals in the state, and there continues to be issues. I think there are several pretty large areas in Iowa that have essentially no EMS coverage now, or no local ambulance. Do you have any thoughts about how this should be addressed? Is that exactly what's happening right now?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I know there's a lot of dedicated volunteers and professionals that provide emergency medical services in this state. I have been the beneficiary of their good work. I was involved when I was lieutenant governor in a tragic accident where a truck went through a stop sign and hit my car, and I spent 8 days in the hospital in Mason City. It was Lake Mills Ambulance Service, volunteer ambulance service that picked me up. I kind of joke about that because the attendee, in the back of the ambulance was Arnie Moe, my life insurance agent, and he didn't want to have a big claim. So, in being a lawyer, I all the way to the hospital, I asked him what day it was and where we were, and I wanted to make sure when I got interviewed at the hospital that I had all my facts right in terms of the accident. So I do have a lot of respect, and I can tell you in Lake Mills, they have an annual Labor Day chicken barbecue and raise money for the ambulance service. And there's a lot of communities across the state like that do things like that. I know the legislature had an interim committee on this issue, and I suspect there will be other things that will be looked at on how we might be able to perfect and improve our laws. But I also respect that this is a very diverse state, and the situation in Des Moines, where you have the fire department providing emergency medical services, and they're, of course, on duty all the time and could be on call for fires as well as for emergencies and accidents and things like that. In rural Iowa, where a lot of it is dependent on volunteers. But I think, we have a lot of dedicated people that do this. We did, by the way, increase the tax credit to $100 a year for people that volunteer, and whether it's, I think, for emergency medical services or as volunteers for the police or fire departments.
In regards to the juvenile issue.
Yep.
What sort of a deadline are you going to set for a decision from you and the legislative on this? Legislature debated for a couple of sessions. A previous ruling also ruling and they were really not able to.
Okay. Well, I don't know if we can set a deadline on the legislature, but it would be my hope that we could review the court decision and work with legislators with the intention of doing something in this next session to address the issue and make sure that the safety of the citizens of Iowa is protected. That's the thing I'm most concerned about, and I think as governor, it's my responsibility to see that we continue to have a very safe and secure environment. I can tell you, we made great progress in corrections in this state in recent years. Our recidivism rate has dropped significantly, and even though we've increased the amount of people being paroled, because the parole board and corrections have worked so well together, we have, I think, done a good job. I just want to make sure the safety of the citizens is paramount and that it is protected. Thank you.